Mind Gap Podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome to Mind Gap Podcast. I'm Doug.
I'm Justin.
And it is great. I'm going to say it's great to be back. We didn't go anywhere. I mean, we did. I did. But
you did.
It feels like it's been weeks since we've done the podcast, but I just saw you like, I don't know, 48 hours ago.
It's kind of like time travel rules.
Yeah.
Like it feels much longer than it actually was.
Yeah. It's weird. And I guess we kind of just get into it a little bit now. I went to visit Justin up in Grand Rapids, and it was so much fun. And here's the cool thing. I don't know if you witnessed this. I was just kind of like, it was really good to see you in person, but it also felt like we didn't skip a beat because we talk multiple times a week.
Right.
So it was like so delightful to see you, but I'm like, hey, we're hanging out again. Like, it's just, you know.
Yeah. The thing is, there was no catching up.
No.
Which eats up time when you haven't seen people in a while, you know, and you see them again. It eats up a little bit of time before you can really dive into the meat and potatoes of what your relationship is.
Yeah.
And it was just walked in and it was just immediately into the thick of it.
Yeah. Like it wasn't like, hey, what have you been up to? It's like, I know what you've been up to. I fucking talked to you like, you know, literally the night before.
Right.
I just finished editing the podcast that morning, you know, and then we took off. Like that was it. I was like, cool, I'm going to see Justin. And it was great. Cool. We had so much fun. It was really cool.
We were so happy that you guys came up here. And I have to say, for anyone who thinks that they are an Uno champion, you do not know how to play Uno until you've gone against Natalie Cochran.
Natalie will bust your balls.
She will. She'll crack them wide open.
She is on top of it. I think she won the majority of rounds against, out of 5 of us, I think she won the most. She was the most winningest.
A 6-year-old successfly shit talked me and then backed it up.
But at the same time, in a delightfully earnest and cute way. You know?
Oh, yeah,
she's
absolutely.
Like, yeah, it was awesome. She was so good. And it was really good. It was a fun time. I think we played Uno almost every single night except for one.
Yeah.
So
I think it was just Friday night was the only night we didn't play. That was fun. Yeah.
It was so great. And we had a really good time. It was fun exploring Grand Rapids. It was fun just going out, enjoying things. We did horseback riding, which was cool.
That was a blast.
We rode on some horses for an hour, which was you said that was been a long time since you had done it. Jill's presumably first time, and Natalie's real first ride. Like she'd been on a horse, but never gone an hour ride before. Yeah.
What a trooper. Loved it.
Yeah. She we were being led by a 16-year-old who was just leading the troop, and she was holding the lead on Natalie's little horse, and Natalie just talked her ear off for an hour. To be fair, the girl leading it also was having a good conversation with Natalie. She understands that if she's going to be holding the lead for a child, it's probably good to try and make conversation. But what she didn't realize is that Natalie was going to talk her fucking ear off.
Right.
And Natalie
is Doug and Jill's child. Natalie can converse.
Boy, did she. She was talking to Jared. You'll love this. She was talking about Bluey. She got into some episodes of Bluey about halfway through the ride, talking about that and talking about sharks. And all sorts of shit, superheroes, and I was like 4 or 5 horses back, so I was just catching bits and pieces of what she was saying. But boy, she had a lot to tell this girl. I gave this girl $20 afterwards. I was like, hey, thanks. After calling her the wrong name, I was like, hey, you. Her name was Teresa, I think, and I called her Tracy.
Nope.
No, what was it?
Her name was Tara.
God, no, fuck you. It's not Tara.
It was Tara.
No, it wasn't. It was not Tara. Maybe it was.
Right.
I'm losing my confidence. Every time I say no, I'm losing my confidence. I lost my confidence. But either way, I called her the wrong name. I was like, hey, Tracy. And she turned kind of had you got my name wrong. And I was like, here's $20. I thought she'd be more grateful. I was like, no, she's probably you don't know my fucking name. Like, yeah, I don't.
You got my name wrong, but you look like you're going to give me money, so I'll smile.
Yeah. She's like, okay, I'm going to go do my job now. I'm like,
One of the best ones was when Natalie asked her, she goes, all right, guess my teacher's name.
Oh, I heard the girl go, I don't know how I'm going to do that. Like she was just,
she goes, it could be anything. She goes, can I get a first letter, and Nadia goes L, and the girl's like as soon as she realized what she had asked, she's like, that doesn't help me at all. It could be an equal amount of infinite possibilities.
Natalie plays this game sometimes when we go to our neighbors, and like she's done this twice. Like I think we went over. I can't remember. We've been over there twice for like some get-togethers with our neighbors and their family. And Natalie goes, "All right, let's play guess my friends' names in my class." And she just makes people guess. Like she's like, you have to. It's like 20 questions. It's like, is it a boy? No. Is the girl? Yes. Does it start with an A? No. You have to like go down the list, and some of these names are just not names that you're gonna get. You know,
right? Oh, sure.
And I'm like, what? Because we were doing something else, and I tuned like my ears just sort of tuned into the frequency, and she's like, "It's Miss Lauren." I go, "Are you playing the game where they have to guess your teacher and the kids in your class? Like, what are you doing? Like, that's not a fun game for anybody." She thinks it's great. I'm like, no, we're not playing that game. That's only fun for you, and that's not okay. That's not how we do this, child. That's not how this works. All right. So yeah, I'm glad to know she did that with the person riding the horse. But
absolutely, yeah. And I love the fact that we got to see a few deer. I was really after the first ride that we went through. You know, we saw so many. I was like, I really hope that they get a chance to like just ride past a couple. And we did. So it was everything I could have hoped for.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. That was fun. I was expecting to have a really sore ass and like inner thigh area. Didn't happen for some reason for me. I don't know why, but I was more uncomfortable just being in jeans while it was hot outside. I'm just sitting there like, I don't like this.
Baking, dude.
And well, I mean, we were in shade for most of it, but right out of the gate, I'm like, God, this is hot. Like, how can people mow lawns and shit in jeans? Like, I get why they do it. And, you know, they say you want to wear long pants when you're riding a horse because so the saddle doesn't rub on your legs. You know, it's not, I can imagine that. But at the same time, I'm like, I think I would have been fine in shorts, but.
Doug's like, I would have taken it. I would have been, I knew what I was getting into. I'm fine.
I think I would have been fine. The jeans the whole time was like, ugh. I don't like it. I don't like being in jeans. I feel constricted. Yeah, and then we also.
Oh, here comes Loki.
God damn it! God damn it, dog! Are you staying in here? Yeah, cool. You're in. You're in for the long haul.
You're in for the long haul, dog. Be prepared. You're the podcast pooch today.
To the show, puppy dog. All right.
And Loki came up.
Yeah, Loki was up there. She was getting in everyone's business. She was not a well-behaved dog like Abby, but you know,
Loki has this move that I think we're calling the Shining now, where if you're sitting at the table and you've got your arm kind of like out a little bit, and there's a hole, Loki will just bring her face through. And it's like, here's Loki.
She's like, hey, what are you doing? And she will just like, and her eyes kind of get peeled back, and she's like, hey. Yeah. She's looking at me right now like, yeah, I do that. Big whoop. Want to fight about it? Yeah. Now lay down and get comfortable for the next hour and a half, dog, because you're in here for the podcast.
You're in for it now.
We also went to a trampoline park, which was so much fun.
Yeah.
I should post the video of me doing my trampoline sprint.
100%, yes.
That'd be very entertaining. I was just trying to, there was like a bunch of little trampolines, and I was going from one of them. The goal was to get there without like sort of having to stop.
Right.
And
no double bounces.
No double bounces. And momentum got kind of weird. And also I did it once, and Jill's like, that's terrifying. I'm like, oh, you should record me doing that. And so I went back and did it again. And I sort of like, you know, amplified it a bit. I kind of, you know, made it extra dramatic. Yeah. And it was very entertaining. So never been to a trampoline park like that before. It was very cool. It was very,
I might need to check this out. It was funny because the next day we went and walked a house, and our real estate agent said that their kid just went to a birthday party. And I was like, oh, where'd they go? Where was the party held? And he's like, oh, it was at a trampoline place. And I was like, wait a second. Was it called, what was the one?
Rebounders with a Z.
Rebounders, yeah. And he goes, no, it was at this other one. I'm like, there's two of these places?
I think there's three, Justin. I think I saw three. Yeah.
What does there need to be three of them?
Because I know there's at least two, because I looked at least two of them, and the second one, I'm like, this one will work. You know?
Wow.
So yeah,
I was floored to know one of them existed, but the fact that there's 3 now that I know of, that's incredible.
It's pretty wild. And I probably had just as much fun as Natalie did, to be honest with you. Like I had a really good time.
You guys were shooting hoops and you were doing, they had available laser tag and
mini golf, VR, arcade. There was a Ninja Warrior course, all sorts of stuff. They had dodgeball, which we didn't partake in. There was like a big foam pit, so you could run and jump in it, which is fun until you try to get out. And then you're like, why can't I stand up? This sucks. I can't get out of here. I have no leverage to get out. And
so how do you get out? I'm curious.
You got to try as hard as you can.
You got to want it.
Yeah. For me, like Jill wasn't really paying attention, but once I got in, the first time I didn't get that deep into it. So I'm like, it's not that big of a deal. She's like, yeah, okay, really jump in there. And then I did. And I imagine like if this was like the edge of it, I came up, I was like, this is hard. And I was like trying to like jump forward to get to the ledge. And I was like,
Was there, to be honest, was there a little bit of panic that set in?
There's
like
a bit. There's a bit like when you just like, you try to stand up and you can't.
Yeah.
And you're like sitting there, you're like, if I just sit here, this is kind of comfortable as if I was laying in a hammock, but you're like, this isn't a hammock. This is a pit full of foam. Like I need to get out of here. And you start panicking a little bit. You're like,
because you try to stand up and it doesn't work. You're like, well, what do I do then? Because I can't.
You have to exert so much energy just to like shift yourself a little bit, and then you can finally get to the edge. I'm like, I'm getting out of here. I'm like, I don't want to go back in. Nallie's like, let's go again. I'm like, all right, let's go again. And you just enjoy the whee. Yeah. And then you land, and then you're like, fuck, I got to get out of here.
Oh no, yeah. Was Natalie cool with it?
Oh yeah, she had a really good time. She had a really, really good time. She kept kind of like hurting herself a little bit here and there. Okay. She didn't, she kept like tripping on stuff and it kind of like, she was fine ultimately, but there's several times in a row where she was like, I'm like, are you okay? And she's like, I'm fine. And she bumps up and keeps going. I'm like, right. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. So we had a really, really, really good time. So, and they had like a legit Ninja Warrior like course. There was like, oh, this is for kids, intermediate. And it's like, oh, you want to do the real thing? Well, we got it. So you could do it. And I'm like, if for half a second, I looked at one of the things. I was like, I've been working out, and I was like, what are you doing, man? Like, what do you think? What are you going to get out of this? Nothing. Nobody's going to give a shit. Man.
I will. Wolfwood, he said, yo, you Ninja Warrior sets, I need to visit up there. Wolf, if you want to come up, I'm sure Doug will make a special trip if you fly in.
We'll go.
And we will go Ninja, the 3 of us, and anyone else in the Mind Gap community is welcome. And we will Ninja Warrior the shit out of it.
We should have a Mind Gap party at a trampoline park. That's not strange at all, right? For adults. Right?
Just a bunch of nerdy adults meeting up at a
Hey, Noah, for our potential Mind Gap meetup in Nashville, A, do you have laser tag? And B, do you have a trampoline park? Just asking for a friend.
Oh, God, that's funny.
Asking for a friend. So, that could be a potential activity.
Yeah. That would be very funny.
That would be very interesting. So
Wolf says it will be content for sure.
Yeah, right. Bring your camera, Justin. Richie, come on down, my friend.
Buddy.
Man, can you imagine Richie coming to the U.S. for the first time and he goes to fucking Tennessee of all places?
Richie, I'm going to advise strongly against that.
Listen, I hear Nashville's cool and all, but
Nashville's great, but just like
Tennessee.
Don't wander outside of Nashville.
Right? Yeah. Go outside of that, and it's just who knows what you're going to find.
Right.
Or do you have a laser trampoline park with paintball? Dude, paintball, I've done it once, and I had a hard time with it. All right? A couple reasons. One, I'm a big dude. It was speedball. It was indoors. I don't fit behind most cover. It was
indoors?
Yeah. I don't fit behind most cover. So there's that. So I'd be like, I'm safe, and then my ass gets shot off. 2, I had just a basic mask, and I didn't understand that you kind of have to breathe in and then breathe out and down through your mouth, because I was just fogging up my goggles on my helmet, and you don't dare take off your helmet in case you get shot in the fucking forehead.
Right.
So I'm sitting there, I'm like, I can't see shit. I can't hide behind anything. A fucking 10-year-old kid sneaks up and point blanks me right in the ass. Like, it's it's brutal. I don't think I hit anybody. If anything, I was unloading on the ref that was there. I'm like, I think I see someone. I'm going, pew, pew, pew. And this guy's like in the Matrix, just dodging. just, and he's like, because he's so used to it, he's just like, fuck,
Stop,
and then
stop.
I probably used about a quarter of my ammo. I'm like, I'm gonna get him, and then I'm like, oh shit, that's the ref. My bad.
As the kid sneaks up again and shoots you in the ass.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's.
For my bachelor party, we went to an outdoor one, and that was an absolute blast. It was one of those places though that went kind of like the trampoline part went all out.
Yeah,
like it was. You remember the League, the episode of the League? That was the type of. It felt like you were walking onto the set of a video game.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So I had a blast with it when I did it. But I think if it was an indoor one, and if I was, because at the time when you did it, you were not the Slender Man you are now.
I know. I was
Correct?
not the the creature that terrifies children. No.
Right. Yeah.
But now
I can imagine if that would be very hard for someone of your height and at the time your weight. That's just not fun,
I don't know. It's one of those things where I'm like, listen, if you need someone to take a shot for you, I'll be that guy, but I don't know. I don't know if that's for me. I'd rather do laser tag personally.
Yeah.
And for the record, a legit laser tag place these days with like Call of Duty and shit like that. I mean, I've seen some stuff where they're like, oh, you want to do laser tag?
Yeah.
Come on over. This is our specialty. Like,
see, I only have burned into my mind laser tag from the 90s.
Sure.
So it has, and this sounds like I'm being silly when I ask this, but it has progressed.
Yes. Sorry.
Okay.
I was reading. I thought someone said something about Butt Doug in the chat, but they said Buff Doug. So I was going to ask if Buff Doug or Puff Doug played paintball.
Right.
It was Doug in college, so intermediate.
Oh, okay. So, I was going to say then. Actually, I take it back because I've seen pictures of you in college.
I was fine, but I definitely wasn't working.
That's when you were doing track and field, right?
Yeah, but I was a thrower and. That was when my metabolism was still okay, but I wasn't, I sure shit wasn't eating well, I'll tell you that much. That's a fact. I was just, I consumed everything and I wasn't really working out a whole lot. So
I would love to try laser tag again because the last time I think it was grade school, the last time I went.
I want to do, because I know the burbs around here have got to have some legit stuff. So
sure.
I've seen some things. So I want to look into it and then, get some fucking adults together and be like, yo, let's squat up and let's do this. Like,
and then
fun.
You just get owned by some children.
Oh, yeah.
As happens in video games, happens in real life.
If we could get like a 5-on-5 or something, how fun would that be?
I would love that. I would travel for that.
Right? That'd be so much fun.
That would be amazing.
So long story short, Grand Rapids was awesome. It was great to see you. Justin and I actually worked out together.
Yeah, it was. That was actually really cool.
We had so many missed opportunities to take fucking photos. Like guys, we're not social media minded at all. I like to say, I'm just living in the moment, enjoying it. In the back of my mind, I'm like, you should take a photo. Didn't. Totally. Yeah. Like 3 times while we were working out, I'm like, we should take a photo. Didn't. Just, You know what I should do? I should go back to all the places we went to, the ice cream place, my gym, and I should just take pictures of the place and say, Doug and Justin worked out here. Doug and Justin ate ice cream here. We're not in it at all, but Doug, Justin, and Austin had lunch here. Like
exactly,
wild, just wild. But it was great.
We're not socially minded people.
Had a really good time. Really good to see you and Beth and Abby. And it was a really great weekend. So thanks for having us in the city. Thanks for allowing us in your city. The doors are, as the unofficial mayor of Grand Rapids and the outlying metropolitan area, you and your family are always welcome. Well, thank you. Sly says, y'all took a photo of Little Sebastian. We sure did. We got there.
Damn right we did.
We got that one, which was awesome.
We've got priorities. When there is a tiny horse, then we take pictures of it.
We like to pretend which one of us wrote it, which is always fun.
Yes.
Cool.
Huzzah.
So, real quick, hey, like and subscribe to our stuff as always. Always appreciate it. Means a lot. Helps us out. We're at 202 subscribers now, man. We're climbing it up.
Man, we're on the roll. Yeah.
We're on a roll, which is awesome. It's free. It does wonders for us. It helps us a lot. So thank you for everyone who has and continues to support us. We appreciate it. If you're feeling so inclined, please, check out our Patreon, patreon.com/mindgappodcast. If you feel like contributing that way, or check out our merch at redbubble.com. Come join our Discord. The link is down in the description below. Come hang out with us. Come join the clan. Be one of us. And then also, don't forget to check us out on all of our, Apple Podcasts. Good Pods is a good place I've been spending a lot of time with recently. It's really cool. And be cool and support us. We appreciate you. So, yeah. Agreed. Bada bing, bada boom. So, what's up, Justin? I'm sorry, I'm talking too much.
No, I was going to say we were both going to the same place. I said one thing we didn't get to do while you were up here.
Yes. I had a goal of hopefully, Justin and I are very big fans of the Sandman. If you're not familiar with that, it is a graphic novel / comic book series written by the amazing Neil Gaiman. And they have just last Friday, they launched it on Netflix as a series. Now, before we get started, I want to say there will be no spoilers for the show. Okay,
this will be a spoiler-free breakdown review. Yeah,
zero spoilers because it's still very recent, and I know some people are watching it. I absolutely do not want to spoil this, so we're just going to be talking about some initial thoughts and reactions. Again, no spoilers here, so everyone.
Doug and I are lunatics, and we finished it very quickly.
Yeah, it was funny how this happened, too, because we were trying to find a time to sit down and watch it together because I was like, we should at least watch, the first 2 episodes together since we're physically here.
And you had a great idea for a photo op for that, too, which never came to fruition. Yeah.
Yes. And I was like, but it was so hard to find time, to actually, because I was like, I got my family here. Do I abandon them to go watch this? Yes. And you had your stuff that was going on, everything like that. So we didn't get around to it. And then the last night that I was there, you came over to our place for dinner and you're like, I watched the first 3 episodes and I was like, Justin, how could you? And I was like,
when were we going to watch it, Doug?
And I was like, I finished the first 5. So
I'm like,
I couldn't help it. I was like, this is just a show that I can't wait a week.
No, we both understood the assignment.
Yeah, I love the source material so much, and it is hands down when I think of if someone's like looking for comics, graphic novels, and they want to that. I think I've loaned out that series more than any other thing that I have. Yeah. I don't have a huge library of stuff, but that's one that I'm always like, you want to read the Sandman? Because here you go. And it's such a great series. If you're not familiar with it, essentially it's about a character named Dream, also known as Morpheus and many other names, and he is one of the 7 Endless. They are beings that exist to serve different elements of the human experience. There's dream, there's desire, despair, destiny, death, delirium,
destruction,
and destruction. All start with D's. And you essentially follow primarily Dream as he, does what he does. And it's fascinating. It's really well done. Neil Gaiman does such a good job of interlacing mythology of different religions and all sorts of other stuff, history and whatnot, and it's a wonderful read. I recommend it for everyone. So when they announced that this was coming, and we had talked about this months ago, the initial teaser trailer, I was kind of like, I don't know, man. I mean, I'm hopeful, but I don't know, man.
This has also been 30 years in the making, so expectations are extraordinarily high.
Yeah, they've been trying to make this for a long time. At one point, Joseph Gordon-Levitt was, most recently slated to do a movie. Yep. And it ultimately fell through because God bless Neil Gaiman, he understood that this needed to be executed perfectly. It's not something that you can just sort of chuck out there. It's not necessarily an easy thing to adapt. It's very similar to a Stephen King adaptation.
Yes, and we've seen the blueprint for how not to do those.
Yeah,
so
exactly. Yeah. So I was a little hesitant, but then as more trailers came out, I got more and more excited. I got to see, just kind of got a better feel for what they were going to be doing with it, and I got very excited. And I got to say, my initial, again, spoiler-free review is 2 thumbs up. I really, really enjoyed it. It essentially adapts the first 2 volumes of Sandman, Preludes and Nocturnes and Doll's House. So, which I always enjoyed the first volume of the book because you get so introduced to Morpheus and his world, and he goes on a pretty interesting adventure. You also realize real quick, like, this ain't a kid's story.
Right. Yes.
There's very adult themes in it. And you're like, okay. This is okay. Here we go. And it's very, very good. The last 4 episodes were the Doll's House arc, which I wasn't a huge fan of just from the source material. And I think it was adapted very well, but I had the kind of the same feeling watching where I'm like, this is okay. But
yeah,
of the collection, I think it's one of the weaker story arcs for me personally. I thought it was cool, but it was kind of like,
yeah. I think what they did, I'm going to mirror your review of it, which is 2 emphatic thumbs up. This was my introduction into graphic novels. Thanks to you. You lent me each file. I would read a volume, return it to the library of Doug, and I would check the next one out, and I couldn't get through them fast enough. And I just fucking loved them.
Yeah.
And yeah, it kind of opened my eyes. I up to that point was vaguely aware of graphic novels. I didn't see how they were any different from comic books, really. And this kind of changed my whole way of thinking about all of it. And I was very grateful that I had the introduction to it. And I was able to anticipate this along with you. I thought it was interesting. I'm of the same opinion too about how I was into Preludes and Nocturnes, and the Doll's House was okay. I liked. I don't think I really disliked any of them per se. I guess I could see Doll's House was a little lower on the totem pole for me, but I thought it was interesting how they seamlessly kind of wove the 2 together in one season. I thought that was again very, very well done, and it didn't really feel disjointed to me, because it could have easily felt like 2 separate things that they just pushed together, and they did a wonderful job of kind of bringing everything through. So
yeah, I think that's an excellent call out. Like, it was such a seamless, like, because where one arc was ending, that was like the end of episode 6. I'm like, okay, so where are we going from here? And I was very, very excited to see that they were essentially moving on to the next arc, and it was just like, no big deal. Yeah. So I thought it was really great. I think the casting in this is phenomenal.
Unbelievable.
And to anyone who was dogging it ahead of time, I mean, Neil Gaiman pretty much shut everyone down consistently on that, but I'm with Gaiman on that. Like, fuck you. Like, it's so well cast. And what I love about stuff like this is when you see, for example, Rose Walker, who is a major character in the second arc. She's white in the story, but in the show, she was cast as a black actor, and I'm like, yeah, perfect. Like, doesn't change anything.
No,
like,
no. There's nothing inherently, there's nothing inherent to the character that has to do with race. Like, it is just the character, and this actor embodied that character. Like, it was, and did such a good job with it. That same thing with Lucien was originally Lucien. Right.
Like, again, they swapped genders and races, which I thought was like, yeah, perfect, makes sense.
Yeah,
I think they nailed Desire, was perfect. I think they cast a bi person. And
I think trans too.
I can't remember if it was bi or trans or both.
Matter.
Yeah, I think it was non-binary. That's what it was. It was a non-binary person.
It was the best casting call, because that actor I don't think I could have envisioned a better live action representation of that character than what they presented to us. That was, in my mind, when I read it on the page, that performance was the character.
It was phenomenal. It was absolutely phenomenal. Because in the graphic novel, Desire is androgynous. But that's the whole point, is they appear as what you want and what you desire. So there's a lot of times where they're seen in the comic as more feminine, and other times they're masculine. Sometimes they're both. They have a masculine torso, but then a very female attire with high heels. And I think they just nailed it. And that actor
that's
was
what your heart,
perfect.
right. It's what your heart desires, and it can be so that character needs to be able to show up as whatever it needs to show up as.
And man, I tell you, the actor who plays Morpheus, phenomenal. Like, they absolutely nailed it. Like, I want to get the actor's name. It's Sturgis, I believe is his name, is his last name.
Was it John? No, Tom.
Tom Surridge didn't get it right
Tom
at all.
Surridge. You're thinking Jim Sturgis.
Sure.
Is another actor. Tom's,
Yeah. And for the record, I looked at and this is nothing against Tom Sturridge. I looked at like what he's done. I didn't recognize hardly anything that he's been in. He's been in, like, this has to be like the role of a lifetime for him to nail this.
If I'm not mistaken, when I went and saw Neil Gaiman speak at at the thing he did, where he had a speaking engagement. It was doing a Q&A, and I believe he said they saw, and I could be completely misremembering or misquoting this, but I believe he said that this Tom guy was the first person, one of the first tapes they got, and then they went on to watch like a subsequent 4,000 auditions, and they went, nope, the first one. Like they had found it, and he was like, we could have saved ourselves months of work on this if we had just been like, we knew it when we saw it, but you always got to make sure. But he blew them out of the water from what Neil was saying.
Not only that, but his fucking voice. Holy shit. I'm like, God, does this guy do video game voiceover? Because he should. Like, he's perfect. And I think I told this to you over chat the other day. What I love about hearing this voice is because, again, I've only read the source material. I don't know. I kind of had my own idea of what Dream sounded like, but to me, it was very monotone and glum and emo. And don't get me wrong, Dream is emo. He is. I mean, he's the emoest emo that ever did emo. But Tom Sturridge brings emotion and to stuff where I'm like, oh right, he probably It just, I don't know. It all seemed to like come together. It was very perfect for me. Like, I don't know. It was really good. He was a perfect casting for it. I fucking loved it.
And some of the emotionality that he conveyed, like the thing that he did so well that just proves that he was the right selection for this was everything he did was so subtle. Sometimes you would just get the side of his mouth was just kind of just a little crook at the side of his mouth. It'd be like the faintest hint of a smile, and you're like, oh, he's amused. Or his eyes, he wasn't straight up crying, but his eyes were watery, and you're like, oh, he's like, everything was so fucking subtle. And that is, I'm not I'm not an actor. I've had my experiences here and there, but that is not easy to do. It is so easy to. The thing is, when you're acting on stage, everything's got to be big because you got to see it from the cheap seats. On camera, the biggest difference between acting for stage and acting for film is you've got to learn to tone it down. And my God, did he tone it down? It was a masterclass in how to emote without going overboard.
Well, he's a being that has existed since humans existed, or creatures existed. He is the embodiment, personification of dreams. And so for him, he's not going to have a lot of bold emotions. Like, that's just not who he is. It's not what's in his nature. So you're absolutely right. Like the small things are what he really needs to accomplish. And I felt everything. Like, I knew exactly what he was feeling. I knew exactly what his intentions were. He nailed it. Like, it was so well done. And I was just enthralled. Now, I pose this question to our listeners and to our viewers. If you are watching it or haven't watched it or plan on watching it and you haven't read the source material, please hit us up in the comments down below or shoot us a message on social media. Let us know how you feel about it, because I loved every second of it. It was a very faithful adaptation of the story. And I'm curious to folks who haven't read it, how they feel about it, because because I'm familiar with it, I understand everything that's happening. I know the nuances. I know where the story is most likely going to be going. So I just sort of like, yay. But for someone who hasn't, this is probably got to be very confusing at times and maybe muddled. And I think you shared a review of someone who said this was a complete and total failure.
Right.
They thought it was a mess. And I'm like, hey.
This person obviously didn't understand what they were watching.
And I was like, listen, I'm not going to hold that against anybody. You know, I kind of liken it to watching the Warcraft movie. Like that movie tickled me to death because I'm like, hey, I get everything that's happening. Yeah. But for most people who are like, this is kind of a mess. And it is a mess. I wholly admit Warcraft is a mess. I bought it for $5 because it was for $5. So I'm like, it's in my library now, right next to Rudy and Rampage. So... you know, it's there, but let us know, like, how do you feel about it? You know, do you feel like maybe knowing the source material would make it better? Like, let us know.
The only reason that I feel like, you know, and this could be subjective because some people, regardless of if it's done well or not, it might not click for some people. But I think in general, I look at something like this, if you haven't read the source material, as someone watching, like me, I had never read the Lord of the Rings novels. And so I went into a completely batshit massive fucking universe and I enjoyed it, you know, and I was able to follow it because it was laid out well. And I think this is like, same thing could be said for Westworld or The Matrix or Avatar, Star Wars, anything that is this giant world that you're being dumped into. I feel like it's the same thing. So I think because, and this is just my opinion, but I think because they stayed so true to the source material, I think it is very digestible.
Yeah.
I'd be curious to hear what others' opinions
I'm wondering if it's easier to digest via reading or viewing. And again, people are probably going to absorb that differently, right? Everyone absorbs information differently. So I'm just, because I was front loaded with a whole bunch of information prior,
right? I
knew what to expect. So someone who's just sort of like, I'll throw this on, you know, and they're
it's
like,
a trip. It's a trip, man.
I feel like the first episode, pretty straightforward, and then it gets weird, you know, for a little bit. And
yeah, you know, that fifth episode was something else.
One of my favorite scenes. One of my favorite top when that guy walks in, the bell rings. I'm like,
here we go.
I had to pause too, like, because I had to stop something. I go, oh baby, we're in for a great episode. I can feel it. I can feel it.
I'll say this. It definitely, and I know, you know, I was prepped when they were dropping, you know, the F-bomb and they were doing this, that, the other thing. Pardon me. I was like, cool, we're not going to pull punches. This is TVMA. Like we're in it. You know, I got it. That episode still threw me. I was like, whoa, okay. It's got dark.
That scene's pretty
heavy. I don't know if I
was
ready for it to get that dark.
That scene's pretty heavy in the comics. I remember like reading that and being like, whoa, this is no joke. This is well, because honestly, it kind of sets the stage where it's like anything can happen, you know. Shit goes down in this universe. So
which is necessary for some subsequent books, because in some subsequent books, shit gets really weird.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought the casting was great. I like the direction that they're going. I was kind of curious because some of the volumes are short stories, which it seems like they weaved in one of them into this season, which I loved, absolutely loved.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So great. I'm like, yay, they're doing that, you know?
Yeah.
And I was just kind of curious, like, how they were going to incorporate, because some of them are just fun, but they're oddly, they flesh out more of the world of Dream and how he integrates himself into the world. Because some of these stories he's barely in, like
absolutely, yeah,
barely in at all. You get to see some potential references to future novels. You know, there's the character Barbie and the weird stuff she was doing, you know, with that kind of fluffy creature.
Oh yeah, I completely forgot about that.
She has her own volume altogether. Like, which also not one of my favorite stories. And Dream is barely in that. He's barely in that story at all. It's all about Barbie. Like, I'm like, you know. But I was like, I thought it was cool that they were referencing that. I'm like, oh, that's really neat. But it's just like, where do you do you focus on the main storyline here and how it goes? And I don't know. I'm super pumped because if season 2 picks up where I think it's gonna go, we're gonna have a lot of fun with that, man. That is gonna be really, really interesting, and I'm pretty confident I know where they're gonna go with it. I'm like, okie dokie. This is gonna be fun. This is gonna be fun. And I'm actually anxious to see the other Endless too. So it'll be very.
There is, and I'm dying to see the other Endless because we got to see 1, 2, 3, 4. I think.
4.
But
yeah.
I'm very, very excited. I'm really hoping they follow the Lost one. Yeah. You know.
They referenced that character
many times. Yeah.
Yeah. Some of it subtle, some of it not. But yeah, it'll be really interesting.
There is one character, and I worry it verges on spoiler, so I'm not going to say who it is. But there's one character who I hope I would be all in for a spinoff series for this character.
Yeah,
I just think there is a lot of the actor who played the person, the character was wonderful, and it could be very interesting. So and
that was one of the ones that people were butthurt about. So
exactly, yeah. So guess what? Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, fuck you.
Fuck you. I think Neil Gaiman put it best when there was one person on Twitter was like, I can't believe X, Y, and Z, blah, blah, blah. They laid out their stuff. Was a fan, but I'm absolutely not going to, give this the time of day. And Neil's response was just, bye. And I feel like that's how I feel after watching this. That's how I feel to everyone who's griping about if you don't like the show, that's one thing. But if you're griping about some of the gender swapping or race swapping or whatever it may be, bye. I have no time for you.
Yeah, my approach to this was, I'm fine if it's a faithful adaptation, and I'm A-okay if they deviate. Like, I'm fine regardless. Like, I'm totally fine with that. And I am, I think Neil Gaiman also, what I love is the fans that have come after him, because Neil Gaiman, I can't remember the guy who, Neil Gaiman partnered with a guy on Sandman. I think maybe it was the guy that did the illustrations, and someone was like, he would be rolling in his grave if he knew that blah, blah, blah. And he goes, actually, I have a statement from his family in regards to this. And like he put a link to it, and it was like, yeah, this guy was like fucking totally, he gave the explanation why, people looked the way that they looked. And it was like, it was never because they were white people. It was just based on themes or whatever. And he would have no problem with whomever being whomever. Like it was such a wonderful, and that's how he's handled all that shit. Like he's done it so gracefully yet firm. Just
absolutely.
Basically being like, listen, this is my fucking story. Okay. Like
this goes back to where we were talking about, can the artists come back in and edit their work? This is a rare occasion where I would say it's not necessarily editing or changing the work, but he's making a creative decision on something that had already been kind of canonized, if you will. And he absolutely has the right to do it. It's his fucking characters. Let it alone. Enjoy what he put out there.
It was, So, long story short, Justin and I like it a lot. I would love to get some more reactions from folks. Let us know what you think about the show in the comments. Hit us up on social medias. Give us your thoughts, and then maybe in a few weeks we'll do a full breakdown on it once everyone's had some time to watch it and hopefully digest it, and maybe we could talk more about it, because
who would be fun to have back if we could get her?
Who's that?
Jamie Dirac.
That'd be great. You know who else would be good?
Who?
Tim Sasko, because I think he would also know a thing or two about that. So,
all right, guys, we may have some treats in store for you. I'm not saying it.
Maybe we get some real fucking heavy hitters in here. I don't know. It'd be great. It'd be really fucking great. So, yeah, it's on Netflix now. Go to your local Netflix and rent it. Hey, did you know that there's fake human meat burgers? Did you know this?
Yay! Is it yay? Do I celebrate this? I don't know how to feel about this.
All I know is we've been hanging on to this. We've been hanging on to this topic for a while because we just haven't gotten to it. All right, but this article,
I'm more excited to get it off our list than I am to talk about it.
Right. So there's an article in Insider written by Hannah Getahun. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but that's how it's spelled. And the title of this is
Hannah, get it, hun.
Get it, hun. Cannibals with a conscience rejoice. Fake human meat burgers are here. And essentially there's a plant-based company called Oumph, Oumph, and they produced a burger they said tastes like human flesh. And
let's start with the headline. Yeah. Cannibals with a conscience rejoice.
That's confusing to me.
I feel like that's kind of an oxymoron.
Slotty goes, holy shit, is this back from when I was show running? No, Slotty, no, that's not true. That's false, sir. This article came out July 3rd, 2022. Get your facts straight, buddy. But yeah, cannibals with a conscience rejoice. Like, oh, I get what they're saying. They're like, hey, if people are eating meat,
yeah.
When are you going to do the birth of Biobag story? Hey, it's still on the list, I think. I may have deleted it. I may have deleted it off of there.
Did you delete it?
I think I did. Nope, it's still there.
It's still top one, top of the list. It's been
we'll let you know, Slotty. We'll let you know when we do that one. Okay? Keep it to yourself, buddy.
Our backlog of topics is awesome.
So basically, like, man, I'm eating meat, but I have a conscience. It's like, well, guess what? Here's an alternative, but apparently it tastes like humans. The company advertised the human meat plant-based burger around Sweden last year during Halloween. It says no humans were injured in the development of this product, the company said. So I think, to me, this sounds more like a marketing, ploy, because I think they won an award for their marketing campaign. But it says they were saying, let's see here. So the agency, which is the Lola Mullen Low in Madrid, the agency behind the campaign said they wanted to convince meat lovers that plant-based products could replicate the taste of any meat. And of course, the solution was to make a tasty plant-based human meat burger. Thomas Ostiglia, creative director of Lola, said. So the campaign won a silver prize at the Cannes Lions Festival for creative marketing. This is our mission is to change how people eat, and it's our duty to use creativity as a tool to make this change happen. The burger itself is made with soy, mushrooms, and wheat protein, as well as plant-based fats and a mysterious spice mix.
Which we're all in agreement is just ground up people.
Probably. So, again, I'm sure it's probably just tastes like meat, but my mind went down a rabbit hole on this, which is like, if you're going to claim that this is a burger that tastes like human, who was the guy or the gal that was like, I think we got it, guys. I think this is what it tastes like. You know, like if Janine walks in, is like, guys, I got it. This is what it is, and everyone goes, okay. How do you know? And then Janine just kind of looks at you and gives gives a little wink. Gives a little wink from WandaVision. You know what's that character's name? Agatha.
Agatha Harkness.
Yeah, she just kind of goes, like, I've eaten people, Well,
I feel like even taking it back further, like whoever walks into there's a rule that when you're in a pitch meeting or when you're in a writer's room or whatever, like there's no really bad ideas. You just throw everything out there, whatever sticks. But this is one idea that in the pitch room, you got to stop and take pause and go, why did you think of this?
Yeah.
Where did this desire come from? Because, and to your point, the other thing they said, we developed this burger in no time as soon as we knew what taste and texture we were after. I don't know, man. I don't buy it. I'm just like, the burger they say tastes just like Cuba. There's the funny side of it, but then there's the very real side where we're in a place in society right now where I don't want to give people a reason to act any weirder than they're already acting. Yep. I said it.
I don't want to be
bite it.
Weirder than they're weirding,
Yep.
Yeah.
I feel like this invites someone to post a response video that goes, actually, all right, so here's my review. I've got a real human meat burger and a fake human meat burger.
You know what this is, Justin? This is a sting. This is a sting operation to capture serial killers, is what this is.
A long con, yeah.
And it's like, hey, check it out. And someone goes on and gives it like a 1-star review online. They're like, this is bullshit. This is not what humans taste like.
Yeah.
it should taste like X, Y, and Z. And then people are like, cool, let's flag that guy. Let's flag Uncle Gary over there.
Yeah.
And let's go visit him and see what he's got buried under the shed. You know, it's kind of like how people joke that, you know, the lottery is just a way to capture time travelers, you know, because the only people that would win would be the people who know the numbers and travel back in time to win them. So
naturally, that makes complete sense. Yeah,
that's what this was. It was a very elaborate, long con way to be like, all right, let's put this out there. We'll see if we can catch any people who know what people taste like. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know. It's clever, you know, I guess, but just I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. I don't like it. It just feels wrong to me.
Honestly, I kind of commend them for it because I think it's very creative, and I'm pretty sure it's not human flavored in any way, shape, or form. It's just got a unique way. It raised awareness for what they're trying to do, which is have plant-based, you know, products instead of meat. And
this is less likely to make me try this product, is the thing.
Well, I was going to ask you.
It has an adverse effect to me.
Would you try this?
No, absolutely not.
Really? I think I would.
The marketing to me is just odd and it's just off enough to disturb me to where I'm just like, yeah, you know what? I don't even want to. If this somehow does taste and feel like human flesh, I don't need to know what that tastes and feels like. I don't want to know what it is. So it's just off enough to make me go, this isn't for me.
I'm curious. I'd want to know. I'd want to know what it tastes like.
You're a sick boy.
But if it's like you know, if it has all the toppings like it has in this picture, then fuck that. I'm out.
So you just want just a straight bicep on a bun. That's what you're after.
No, I'm saying is like leave that sauerkraut off that fucking.
That's not sauerkraut. That's cheese.
That is not cheese. There's no way that's cheese.
That might be shredded onion.
Yeah, that's sauerkraut or some shit like that. That is not something.
Would you do the lettuce?
No, take the lettuce
How about
off.
The pickles?
I would tolerate the pickles. I'd probably still remove them and eat them separately. What?
How funny would it be if that was actually bacon on there, like real bacon?
This is from Getty Images, so I don't think this is the actual like burger, what it looks like.
That's fair.
But I think it'd be interesting. Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I wouldn't eat that. Fuck that shit.
Oh,
I'm kind of curious if I could find Oomph's actual webpage and see if I could find.
Yeah.
Like
I didn't see it was from Getty Images, so that's fair. But
so it's probably not even.
That's probably not it. Yeah.
Yeah, not it.
Yeah, if you can find the human meat burger, post that up because my computer doesn't like me doing too many things at once, so I can't do it.
Wait, what? Hold on a second.
Oh shit! What'd you find?
So, fine, I'll accept the cookies. So we've got Taste Bud rocking plant-based food. So they've got Oumph spicy drums, like drumsticks. They've got the spiced kebab.
Is this all human meat flavored stuff?
Pulled pork chunks. Like, are these all plant-based? Sly, there's no way that's cheese, man. They would melt the cheese. Look at there's got to be cheese on
There's
whatever
cheese
that is.
under it. There's cheese below the lettuce.
Yeah, that's melted.
Yeah.
Dude, no one's going to serve you a burger with a bunch of shredded cheese that's not melted. You'd get fucking beat up in the kitchen. You get stabbed. There's no way. There's no fucking way. That's some sort of like sauerkraut or bullshit. He's going, wait a fucking minute. No, you wait, sir. You don't say that's cheese.
This is getting contentious.
How dare you, sir?
Uh-oh.
Yeah, you type out your thoughts and you get back to us because there's no way that's cheese. That's bullshit. I refuse to believe that's cheese. I watched enough Chef React videos on TikTok to know. He goes, wait a fucking minute. How do those psychos spell oomph? They're from, where are they from? They're from Sweden?
Sweden.
They're from Sweden.
They're from Sweden.
Yeah.
We spell oomph with a
Oumph.
W.
Oumph.
Oumph.
So I'm curious because they've got, I want to see these pulled barbecue chunks. Show me this product. Rock your taste buds.
But again, are the pulled barbecue chunks human flavored? Because I don't want it.
I don't think so.
Is this whole company's MO? Because if it is, now I'm even more worried.
I don't think that's what it is. So its ingredients are textured soya protein, barbecue sauce, acidity regulator. Okay, good. Rapeseed oil. They got to call that something else. I think we can all agree that we need to rename that seed. That really is. What fucking asshole was like, guys, I got the name. All right. I got the name for this. Like, Clark, come on. I know you've been trying to get this in on all the fruits and all the vegetables.
This on every new thing we discover.
You do this,
Clark.
everything we find. He's like, come on, guys. Come on, give this one to me. They're like, I guess it's a seed. I don't know. Just
We're probably never going to use this.
Yeah, no one will probably use this. It's not good. He's like, cool, rapeseed. It's like, congrats, Clark. You got this victory.
Who hired him?
Yeah, right. He's the owner's nephew. He can't work anywhere else. In fact, he can't be near, schools or playgrounds.
This is the only office in the city that was over 500 yards away from it.
The owner specifically built this, so that his Clark could come here and
it's zoned so that no schools or playgrounds can be built within 500 yards.
He pitched his one idea here. He shot his shot, and we're gonna give it to him because the owner's getting really pissed off.
Clark lives in the basement.
Yeah,
that's where our R&D happens.
So yeah, let's see what's else in this in this stuff. I'm so curious. Want some oomph in your life? You can find oomph globally. Yeah, well, it looks like it's all over in South Africa and Western Europe. What other products do you have? Out of curiosity.
I like how this podcast has just turned into Doug's shopping.
Shut up. Shut your face. Sticky Smokehouse rib style? I don't know, man. Oomph donut fajitas. Oomph tacos. I don't know, man. I'd be curious to try some of this stuff. I would. Like, I absolutely would.
For the record, I have nothing against plant-based stuff.
You fucking hate plants.
I do. I hate plants, which is why I want to eat them and make them all go away. But the pork and all the other stuff you're saying, sure. But I do not like the concept of the human meat burger.
Yeah.
It's too much, too far.
Yeah, I'd be curious. I'd try the human meat flavored burger, and I would try some of these like plant-based meats. I'm curious. Also a pulled oomph dog sounds dirty. It sounds like you're speaking a different. It sounds like you're speaking Swedish. Yeah, I have a pulled oomph dog.
That can't be what he means.
Sturdy Bert, would you like a pulled oomph dog?
Another tip: don't trust a European concept. The Europeans' concept of American barbecue or a taco.
Well, I trust their tacos more than a Midwestern taco. That's for sure.
Well, look, Slotty spent a good amount of time over there. I'm just saying he might have come across some stuff that we should be wary of.
Yeah,
like human meat burgers.
I mean, I would be concerned if I went over to, fucking Italy. They're like, come check out our American barbecue. I'm like, I mean, I don't know, guys. You all look a little too skinny to be doing this. You look a little too healthy to be creating this monster.
Yeah.
You're going to smoke a brisket out in the...
I doubt it. Yeah.
In the hills of Italy? I don't think so.
In the hills of Italy.
Yeah, no. You got to be in a backyard of a fucking junkyard with your green egg smoker. Cooking at 250 degrees, 12 hours.
That's where it's at.
Get that rub on there, get it going.
It's the rust from the stuff in the junkyard that really gives it the flavor.
The rust in the stuff.
Are we doing a country song right now? We're going to start it off?
You got the rust in your stuff. Do-do-do-do. You got the rust in your stuff. Do-do-do-do. You gotta have the rust in your stuff if you care enough about that flavor. Do-do-do-do. Johnson & Johnson.
Oomph.
Johnson. No, it's like Johnsonville.
Johnson & Johnson. That whole ad's for baby powder.
They're like, yeah, it counts. It makes sense because we have carcinogens in everything that we make.
Yeah. That's how our baby powder gets the flavor.
So he goes, I asked my students in Austria what goes in barbecue sauce. They all answered mayonnaise, and I wept. Yeah, there's no mayo in there. So, well, Justin, I think it's time, man. I think it's time.
We've hit that point.
We've hit that point.
All right. Nope. Hold on. Wrong one.
You got the questions, we got the answers. All you do is ask. Practical, 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 practical. Ask Practical Doug.
Woo! It is time for another Ask Practical Doug.
It's that time again, y'all. And I'm super excited.
So, should I tell you?
Uh-oh. That started playing.
It did. It sure did.
So,
go ahead, Justin.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, if you've never been here before for an Ask Practical Doug segment, there's a tiny Doug that lives inside of Big Doug. And that tiny Doug is named Practical Doug. And it guides Doug in all of life's journeys and adventures. Practical Doug is, as named, very practical. So people often ask Practical Doug questions, and you can too. On our social medias at Mind Gap Podcast. If you join us live on Tuesdays for the show, you can ask it in the chat. You can join our Discord. And there's a whole Ask Practical Doug channel devoted just to these questions. On social media, hashtag Ask Practical Doug is what we'd like you to use. And today's Practical Doug was submitted by who, Doug?
Mr. Jared Urbis submitted this just yesterday, actually. And it comes from a TikTok. And the handle on this comes from, I want to make sure I give them credit. It comes from Samia Hurst Majno at Samia Hurst Majno on TikTok. And instead of playing this for a minute and a half, I'm going to summarize the situation. Cool. So Samia is a doctor of sorts. I forgot all of her qualifications. But essentially the story that she tells in this minute and a half TikTok is that there was a patient that was undergoing surgery for their liver. And I don't know if it was like a liver replacement or whatever, but essentially they had to have something operated on their liver. Surgeon was able to do everything just fine. It went remarkably well. So well, in fact, that the surgeon was so proud of what they had done that they used a little laser to carve their initials into the liver. Just a little initials, like right there on the liver. Stitch them up. No problem. And it's very important to note that this patient had no complications from the surgery or specifically anything from the initials, like being carved in there. A couple years later, a second surgeon had to go in to do something just to fix. Again, nothing was caused from the previous surgeon. Second surgeon goes in there. While they're doing their stuff, they see the initials carved into the liver, and they are absolutely enraged. They are disgusted. They are repulsed. When the operation is done, they denounce the first surgeon for doing it, and they also tell the patient, hey, did you know this first surgeon signed their initials on your liver? And what Samia asks the audience is, one, did the first surgeon do anything wrong? And if so, what? And two, should the second surgeon had told the patient?
So Practical Doug, did the first surgeon do anything wrong? And if so, what? And secondarily, should the first doctor have told? Or so the second doctor have told?
Yeah. So I think this is pretty cut and dry for me. Yeah, the first surgeon absolutely did something wrong. I liken it. Well, first of all, you are doing something. You are, to put it nicely, they're adding an artistic spin on a medical procedure. They're signing their name. To me, that's about the same as putting a tattoo on somebody.
Yeah.
And you're not asking for their consent. So
Bingo.
Nothing went wrong, but what if something had gone wrong? Right? And I don't know what's possible. I'm not a fucking doctor. I'm wearing a Captain America shirt on a fucking podcast on a Tuesday night in a room that's lit by a lightsaber behind me. Like, there's no way I know anything about that. But what if? You know, I would like to believe that a doctor of that caliber would be like, nothing's going to happen, and they would know that. But still, you signed a piece of someone's body without their consent. That is not okay.
No.
And you didn't tell them about it either after the fact. You did not inform them of what you had done. So that's totally not cool at all. I think that's,
I think you likening it to putting a tattoo on someone without their consent is probably the best, like, toe-to-toe example I can think of, and that it's wrong. It's just straight up wrong. It's irresponsible and it's wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a huge violation of someone's privacy, and it's got to violate so many medical, like, maybe not laws, but best practices, and just sort of like, I don't know, unwritten rules. Like, you don't stitch your initials into someone's, like, body. Like, after a surgery, be like, oh, I'll just do my initials here so they know that I was here, when it scabs over.
So it scars with Doug was here with the Z.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, honestly, I think that doctor should have to go up to against a review board. Like, I think that is, in my mind, and again, we have no knowledge of how any of the inner workings of the doctoral world work, but to me, that is, your medical license should be on the line.
Yeah.
Personally.
I mean, at the very, very basic level, it's incredibly unprofessional. Like, just so unprofessional that you would do that to someone's body.
Right.
So, which is just, it's not cool. So, to answer the second part of the question, yeah, I think the second surgeon had a moral obligation to be like, here's what I found in your body. Someone had signed their initials into your liver, and they should absolutely denounce the first surgeon and be like, hey, yeah, I don't condone that. And for the record, I know it was you. Do you know how I know? I found your fucking initials on this person's liver. So you can't deny it, you piece of shit. And I think that's part of the Hippocratic Oath, right? Is that you got to inform the patient of what you found. And then from there, I mean, like, he's not telling them what to do or anything, but he's just like, yeah, I found this in your body.
FYI, you have initials in you.
Yeah. On your liver. So I think, so that's what you should do with that. So do with it what you will.
The hubris of the first doctor to be like, I did such a good job. I deserve to be, I deserve a permanent place on this thing that, like, and again, the hubris is just off the charts. That's some Doctor Strange pre-accident shit.
Yeah. There's a hilarious comment on TikTok to this video where someone Henry Penry goes, where does this question split the room so I can avoid that hell of a place? Like, where is this a spot where it's like 50-50? He's like, okay, cool. Well, I'm not going to be here. If anyone's like, yeah, this is cool.
Jesus.
Someone's like, he branded her. I'm like, that's
another way of looking at it.
Lack of consent. Yeah. They didn't tell him, so that's a problem. He damaged tissue, even if it didn't have a consequence. There could have been a potential for a complication, I assume. I mean, Granola Mommy probably knows most about that. I mean, they probably know.
That's the name of my primary, Dr. Granola Mommy.
Yeah. I agree. I think this sums it up. If done without consent, it's always wrong. That's kind of like where my initial thing was. Like, no one was like, anything. No one was like, hey, while you're in there, can you just do like a really rad like elf, with a Christmas hat on it while you're there, since you're into, designing or whatever.
Oh my God. This looks so good. Would you mind? Would it be appropriate if I asked you for your John Hancock in there?
Yeah. If he feels the need to sign his work, he's picked the wrong career.
There you go. There you go. That's it.
And based on doctor signatures, is probably barely legible, Because that's just kind of the thing.
Yeah,
doctors
absolutely.
Notoriously have bad signatures. It's a bad.
I don't know if that's initials or if that's supposed to be a peace sign. I can't tell.
Yeah, it's like whatever. But but having this scribble will get you medication. Here you go.
Yep. I've left you a script somewhere in your body. If you want the medication, you've got to find it.
Jared says, look, I'm happy for my vasectomy doctor to sign my balls in 2 weeks, but only if they ask first. Exactly.
Consent, man.
Yeah. Sign my balls, sir. Shave my balls, then sign them. And then snip them.
Then sniff them.
Maybe you want to do that. So that's where Practical Doug stands.
Asked and answered. I got to have some sort of like a case closed.
Machines.
Asked and answered.
Machines.
Beautiful. That's all I wanted.
There it is. Done. That can be the new. That's the new ending now.
I love it. Machines. Awesome.
Oh,
well,
boy.
thank you, Jared, for asking. I really appreciate anyone who asks me stuff. I love diving into it. It puts me in a really fun, creative space to be like, well, how do I feel about this? And what makes the most sense? So thank you for your submission. Justin, what do you have to recommend this week?
Well, Doug, I was going to ask you the same thing. Do you want to count to 3 and then give our answers together?
Yes.
Sounds good. 1, 2, 3. The
Sandman. Yeah.
You got to watch it. Got to go to Netflix. Got to watch it. And then let us know what you think about it.
Yes. Please do. Please go check it out. Please do. Like you owe us anything. Just check it out. Let us know. I really want to know. Honestly, haven't heard much of a buzz about it. Like anywhere. Which, I don't know, makes me wonder. I mean, it got decent reviews on Rotten Tomatoes for both critics and fans. So, I don't know. I haven't heard much of a hubbub about it. I haven't seen a lot of hashtags or anything like that.
I'm wondering if that might be more of the norm moving forward because things are just so diluted. We've got so much out there now. I'm wondering if it's going to be just that much harder. It used to be where like something like this would have definitely gotten a buzz, and I'm just wondering if that's not going to be the norm anymore. We'll see.
Well, that's a problem for the show's livelihood then, because Netflix will give you 2 seasons, and if people aren't buzzing about it, they fucking put a gun to its head and pull the trigger. Like they don't. It just can't get views. It also has to have people talking about it.
Right. Which is funny because when a network decides to shit can a show because of ratings or whatever it is, Netflix has been very quick to jump in and revive that show for another season or 2. So I don't get that business model, but look, I continue to watch. So obviously I'm in agreement somewhere.
Yeah. So I would love to see at least another season. I'd love to see where they go.
Let me ask you this. How many, because we've talked about this, I think before, is that like the problem that I have with Walking Dead and that you have too is that I need a story to resolve. I need to know that we're not just on this endless journey. It's got to have a resolution. I see what I did there. It took me a second. But I need to have a resolution. It's got to wrap up because as much as I love a show, I also don't want it to overstay its welcome. So that being said, how many seasons would Practical Doug say this show needs to get through its stuff?
You could probably do it in 3 seasons.
3?
If you're able to do 2 volumes a season.
Sure. Okay.
Because I would argue books 1 and 2 are done. Books 3, 6, and 8 are all short stories. So you can maybe pick and choose from that, but I don't know if you necessarily need all of them.
And we've already seen one of those kind of interwoven, like we've said. So, yeah.
So really that gives you book 4. I'd skip book 5. It's been a while since I've read it, but I don't think it has a huge impact on things. I would have to go back and reread it. Book 4 for sure. Book 7 is huge. So you could potentially do book 4, book 7, and then books 9 and 10 to sort of wrap things up. So where I think 10 portions of that are also short stories. I think the first half is sort of like the conclusion to everything, and then there's some additional side stories from there. So I think you could probably do it in 3 if you wanted to be aggressive about it. But yeah, we'll see.
There you go. You have it right there. Netflix is going to be doing 3 episodes of The Sandman. You heard it first.
3 episodes.
3 seasons of The Sandman. It's late.
Yes, it's late. It's late. All right. Well, we appreciate you all watching and listening. We love you so much. Please don't forget to follow us on all our social medias at MindGap Podcast. If you are checking us out on YouTube, please hit the like button, hit subscribe. We appreciate the support there. It means a lot. We are cranking our way up to monetization, and you are a big part of that. So thank you very much.
Thanks for helping us crank.
Thank you so much for helping us crank one out. Be sure to check us out live on YouTube, also on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Central when we live stream the podcast. You can be part of the cool chat. Also, I live stream my video games on Saturday at 8 p.m. Central, youtube.com/MindGapPodcast. Come hang out with me on Saturdays. It'll be a real treat. And then, of course, don't forget to follow Justin online as well.
On Instagram and Twitter at Justin_Michael, spelled Mikel. It's the fun way of spelling it. And while you're in the online realm, Check us out on iTunes, Apple Podcast, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Podcast, Podbean, Good Pods, all the places where you can find and consume quality podcast. You can find and consume us, as Doug said already, sharing, rating, reviewing, subscribing, all those things. Please share us around. Let us know let people know that we are here. Good Lord, my mouth was not working tonight. And then 2east8th.com, and then all of 2 East 8th's social presences.
Yes.
Thank you.
Very good. Very, very good.
I almost did the 2east8th.com/mindgap. I'm like, that's old.
That's old. That doesn't work anymore.
Nope.
No. Well, thank you all for hanging out with us for another glorious week. It's always great to have you around, so appreciate you. And with that being said, Justin, thank you.
Douglas, thank you.
Chat, thank you.
Listeners, thank you.
And you all have a dandy fucking week.
Mind Gap Podcast.